Cool. So session is being recorded, so those that aren't able to join us will be able to catch up with us later. So anyway, getting into our weekly market forecast, we're going to start off with our AUDCAD. So everything same as usual. We haven't deleted anything from last week, so we'll still reference last week's analysis. We do analysis on the higher time frames, so the higher time frames take a while to change. So otherwise, higher time frame here on AUDCAD, whether we're looking at the weekly, now let's remind you guys that if you're on a time frame, like for example, right now we're on the weekly chart, we can see the individual candlesticks. When we go down onto a daily and we do this, we can't see the individual candlesticks. So if ever I'm looking at a time frame and I cannot see the individual candlesticks, it's as good as me looking at one time frame above the time frame I assume to be looking at. Let me just close my window because someone is being romantic on a Sunday. Someone is being very romantic, but it's cool. Let them be romantic. They're allowed. They are allowed to be romantic on a Sunday. So good. So otherwise, higher time frame, whether it's weekly, whether it's daily, doesn't really matter. But this is higher time frame structure. So higher time frame, we still have momentum. We still have our corrective structure, support of our corrective structure. We naturally want to be buying from support. Now we're going to go into just the most recent price action just to see what's been cooking there. So just the most recent daily structure. I think this was a bad choice of me moving this to the bottom. Let's move this to the side. Let's just remove all of that. Cool. So just the most recent price action, guys. So we still have some analysis from last week, so we'll reference some of that. It's still very much important to us. Otherwise, we've got an update, right? We've got continuation of this structure. The structure that we were looking at managed to break, obviously, this resistance, higher time frame resistance that we've been looking. So first, I think we had a smaller. We were looking at this resistance, obviously, to validate this point of interest for us, and then obviously this break above this resistance, obviously, just confirms everything that we've been looking at. So nonetheless, nothing's really changed from a high time frame. We still have momentum. All we're looking for to involve ourselves in this trading opportunity is a corrective structure. Obviously, that gives us a trading opportunity. On a 4-hour, if we just drop down quickly, obviously, we've got our price action coming towards our support. We've got momentum. We've got a corrective structure. We've got more momentum out of our corrective structure. Obviously, we want to trade in direction of this most recent momentum that has been able to break this resistance and as well as this next level of resistance over here. Obviously, we're looking for upside continuation. Where do we want to buy? We want to buy where other people, or where at least we saw other buyers buying. So the safest area is to look for areas of momentum shift. Simplest, bullish engulfings. Where do we find them? We've got a bullish engulfing down here. We've also got another bullish engulfing down there. Simple enough, our POIs, everything stays exactly the same as it was last week, except this week we've got confirmation of us trading at this POI for upside continuation. So that's nice. So all we're looking for, since we have a nice, beautiful support over here, our job becomes very simple. Once we have a level of structure and a point of interest, our job becomes very simple, because all we're looking for is just simply for price action to break. First of all, break below this support. Once we've broken below this support, we're looking for reversal structures that terminate at our POI. Whether our reversal structure ends up being a descending structure, doesn't really matter what it ends up being, whether it ends up being an inverse head and shoulders. All we're looking for is once we see price action breaking below the support, terminating inside of this area in some sort of reversal structure to the upside, we're game, we're in. So we're 100% still bullish on AUDCAD. We've got confirmation of this bullish momentum. Simple enough, we just want to find the continuation to the upside. If the setup fails, obviously, from this POI, then we're waiting for price action to come down to our lowest POI to still look for our buying opportunity. So tag still will remain there. Things are nice and exciting over here. As much as we didn't get to trade last week, the setup is even better this week than it was last week. So we'll just set our alert there. Obviously, once our alert gets triggered, that's when we're looking for our entries, or at least for our structures to terminate somewhere inside of here. Let's go on to the next pair, Aussie Swiss franc. So Aussie Swiss franc from last week, I'll be very quick with this pair because nothing really changed from last week. Everything still remains the same. So we've got this descending structure. We naturally want to be bullish because of this descending structure, but obviously we can see that price action is not giving us characteristics of there being buyers currently, excuse me, in this market. So all we've got here, looking at our most recent structure on our daily, excuse me, I've got hiccups now, guys. I hope they just disappear right now because it's just gonna ruin everything. Nonetheless, on the daily, we've got this support over here. Obviously, this is our lower high after this support was created. After this resistance, we've got this new support. So obviously, we're simplifying things for ourselves. We're looking at extreme highs and extreme lows, considering that, okay, price action has been inside of extreme highs and extreme lows ever since we created those. We're probably most likely stuck inside of a range. If we're stuck inside of a range, we obviously look for our areas of probability. Probabilities tell us that inside of a range, we get selling probabilities from the high and obviously buying probabilities from the low. Since we're stuck inside of a range, we're still going to be looking for trading opportunities in both directions. If price action doesn't give us any entries and moves to the downside, then obviously when we get to the support, we're looking for some sort of a double bottom structure for us to find bullish momentum. For the sell, on the other hand, let's go down to the 4-hour. Onto the 4-hour, what we did last week was there is a POI here. I think it's on a 1 hour, it might be on a 15-minute, doesn't really matter what time frame it's on, but there is a POI over here. And obviously there is our higher time frame POI where we're looking to find selling opportunities. So what this means for us, this is the kind of setup that we're looking for, right? Our setup is very simple. So for next week, the kind of setup that I'm going to look at, you guys can see my alerts are still here. I feel like they're still very much relevant. We want to sell from the high and buy from the low. So otherwise, what we're going to look for is we're going to be looking for our first selling opportunity inside of this POI. So on Monday, obviously, if price action is still inside of here, then we understand that our objective or for whatever price action or whatever setup on Monday, if we do see price action, first of all, correcting into this area, then we know we can look for a risk entry over here. If price action comes here fast, then we need to look for a reduced risk entry. Nonetheless, when price action or if price action does come up here, this is the first area where I'm going to try and look to sell Aussie Swiss franc. If this setup fails, once we break above this POI, even if it's by 1 pip, the setup is done. What we're looking for, we need to then obviously shift our focus to this next higher POI. And this next higher POI also gives us, we can see this the structure first touch there, second touch there. And obviously if price action comes up and gives us a third touch, we've got an alignment of structure in a sense that we've got this resistance trend line. And as well as we've got this horizontal area of supply here, obviously where we can find some sellers involving themselves. So we've got a nice, I guess, better setup, even if this one fails up high. So otherwise, for Aussie Swiss franc, I would say we're more bearish than bullish just because of this overall structure. So let's just put a purple tag there. I think things are getting a little bit hot, so this will be an important pair for us to look at next week. Otherwise, we're bearish here. You guys can already see. Get go of next week, we're hedging some AUD strength. So whether AUD base pairs decide to buy or they decide to sell, we've got setups on 2 different AUD base pairs, obviously to trade them in both directions. AU, let's go up to a daily. So AU, I would say that something happened, but not much happened at the same time. Let's just be fast on AU. AU, we've got, listen to me saying AU. This is AJ, my apologies, guys. So on AJ, obviously we've got this ascending structure. We've got momentum breaking the ascending structure to the downside. We want to trade in the direction of the sell bias momentum. Obviously, we're expecting now maybe some sort of a corrective structure maybe is forming in this area to give us that downside continuation. Hence, we've got POIs where we want to obviously trade. So looking at this overall structure, our POIs from that we've had, I don't know how long, we've even lost track. Maybe it's been like a month and a half now that we've been waiting for price action to tap either into here for the sell or into up here for the sell. These POIs are still very much relevant to us. They still stand. Let's go down to 4 hours and see what price action has done, I guess, on a smaller time frame. So on a smaller time frame, on a 4 hour, things are looking ripe for buy, or we can say that we're stuck inside some sort of a 4 hour range where we've got an extreme high. Remember that Monday that made us stay out. That Monday is still affecting us 3 or 4 months later. We're still involved inside of this area where we know market makers are busy. And obviously, a couple of months later or weeks later, we can see that we're still being chopped inside of here. So it helps to learn the price action first. And we avoid staying out of, or at least we stay out of unnecessary chop where we'll just be destroyed for no reason. We can stay out. We can choose to stay out of that price action. Nonetheless, if we just look at this 4 hour structure over here, I'm sure this corrective structure is kind of standing out to you guys. Some sort of a descending corrective structure, but nonetheless, this market is moving sideways, whatever it is. It's moving more sideways than it is any other direction. As much as, yes, we did create obviously a new lower low, and we have given a lower high. So we are making lower lows and lower highs. You guys can clearly see that obviously there is a setup that will or that can present itself for a buy. A buy being maybe at this third touch over here. This third touch also aligns with a level of structure that price action is broken below, broken back above. Obviously, you guys can see this momentum that has broken a level of structure, and there is a corrective structure. So obviously, you guys can see that market looks like it's preparing for a buy, and there could be a buy setup that does present itself over here. Does that align with the higher time frame setup that we're looking for? Maybe it does not. But what we're going to do on AJ is we're going to treat AJ the way we treated AUD strength for the past couple of weeks, where we had the directional biases in both directions. Obviously, all we're waiting for is for the setup to present itself. So find a nice setup that gives us a nice buy somewhere in and around this area. Let's observe the buy and see if we can find probabilities for that buy, for the upside momentum, because it's a nice structure anyway. Otherwise, if these alerts end up getting triggered, obviously, we are no longer bullish bias, or we can't be bullish bias if price action is above these resistances. Once price action breaks above this resistance, we have to obviously look for our higher time frame setup to complete, and then obviously we sell bias. So for AJ, you guys know, whatever, we can leave it blank, we can put an orange tag. I'll just leave it blank. Or let's do this. Let's set an alert down low as well. And then obviously once our alerts get triggered, once price action breaks below this low, then obviously we're looking for those bullish reversals. And then obviously if price action breaks above maybe this resistance for us to pay attention, and then obviously this resistance for us to then look for the entry for sell bias momentum, then obviously we do that when our alerts get triggered. But for now, I think I'll just leave this blank. It doesn't look like it's very, very hot. It's still stuck inside of this momentum here that I don't want to trade inside of. So as long as we're still inside of there, then I have no business in really following AJ. So I'll just wait for AJ to tap one of these alerts, and then I'll start looking at AJ. Otherwise, let's go into some AU. So AU, before we even, let's just hide this thing here. I don't even want to see it. You can even delete it. Anyway, on AU, we've been having issues, but our issues are okay. We don't have big issues, not very problematic issues. AU's just been running away from us and not giving us opportunities to enter. That's our only issue. But we'll still just diligently follow AU and see what she presents for us. Otherwise, you guys can see descending structure. I'll keep things simple and we'll be quick with AU. We've got momentum obviously breaking back inside of this descending structure. Our job then becomes simple. Naturally, we can look for a retest of the structure before we find continuation to the upside. That's kind of what we're looking for. I would like to trade in the direction of this most recent momentum over here. Maybe it hasn't broken this area here, which I would have loved maybe on a higher time frame to have seen it break first, but it's cool. 4-hour time frame has already started breaking those resistance areas. What we can do now, so remember we had this other 1-hour POI that we were looking for a buy from that other day when there was CPI or whatever that news was. What we can do is we can just adjust and accommodate for this new bullish engulfing, because we can all see there's a new bullish engulfing over here. Nice area of momentum shift. Obviously, we want to buy where we see other people buying. That's a nice place to buy. So for us to be looking for that upside continuation, obviously we need to wait for a corrective structure. What I do want to add, let's just be attentive, because we do have a nice break and a retest area. You guys can see this resistance here that we've broken above nice and impulsively. Maybe we can create some sort of a small structure, or I don't know, whatever, that does choose to maybe just retest this resistance and maybe just not come down to our POIs. Let's just focus on the structure. The structures are going to tell us. If we've got a 3-touch structure that terminates here, then if not, why not? If we've got a head and shoulders, I mean an inverse head and shoulders, or a double bottom that terminates, that gives us an entry somewhere inside of here. If not, why not? Otherwise, let's wait for our higher time frame POIs. Here's our first bullish area where we're obviously going to look for, or look to add size, find those sniper entries or whatever the case is, because it's a higher time frame POI. We'll feel safe dropping down to as low as a 1 minute and taking as many losses, because we know that price can take time inside of here to react on a 4-hour, because it's a 4-hour POI. So otherwise, we'll do the things to be done inside of this area, and otherwise down low there for AU upside continuation. So let's just maybe set an alert just here, just below this low over here. And then until this alert gets triggered on AU, maybe let's just remove AU from, or we'll decide when we're done with the analysis whether AU should be on as priority or not. We'll just see. Otherwise, Susian, I think I'm even just gonna like almost fly through it. Susian, we've got this ascending structure. We want to be bearish high time frame because of the ascending structure. On a 4-hour, you guys can see some new kind of a structure developing over here. Obviously, these are our 2 extreme lows. These are our 2 extreme highs. You guys can see we're moving sideways. It hasn't been as clear as it is now. Extreme high, extreme low. We've been inside of this ever since. obviously you guys can see that we're contracting. Contracting, moving sideways, market is preparing for something big. Either that big movement is going to be a break to the upside, or that big movement is going to be a break to the downside. We would obviously hope that that movement is a break to the downside. Since we're bearish because of our higher time frame ascending structure over here, and obviously this sell bias momentum that we want to trade in the direction of, all we're going to do is just exercise patience, wait for Susian to come to our extreme highs, which is obviously there, those resistance areas. Until then, she will just remain blank. I am not going to trade Susian. I'm not going to buy Susian. I don't want to trade in the center of all of this range. I don't want to trade inside of this chop at all. I'd rather just wait for price to come to the extreme high or extreme low and reevaluate. New Zealand dollar CAD. So last week, New Zealand dollar CAD, we were basically just trying to hedge some strength. Obviously, we were bullish on AUDCAD and we were bearish on New Zealand dollar CAD. If these CAD quote pairs were going to move to the downside, then this was going to be the pair that we were going to try and find that entry on. Otherwise, let's just delete this stuff here because things are looking absolutely stunning. I want to use a vulgar word. Things are looking very stunning for the buy opportunity now. So we'll start off on a daily, obviously just look at what the higher time frame structure looks like, just so that we can remind ourselves. So high time frame structure, we've just been referencing just the most recent levels of structure. Obviously, we've got this descending structure, first touch, second touch, third touch, fourth touch. Doesn't matter how many touches, this is still a support trend line. From support, we expect there to be buyers. Nonetheless, we got this bullish momentum over here. It went so slow. It moved to the upside so slow that we weren't even buying this pair. But it is what it is. We trade what we see, not what we think, not what we feel, not what we assume. Market doesn't look like it. We don't assume and we don't just buy and we don't just whatever. We wait. We're trading a plan at the end of it all. But ultimately, you guys can see higher time frame. We've got a beautiful structure forming. I'm sure you guys, everyone can see this potential inverse head and shoulders with a right shoulder, obviously potentially terminating somewhere there for that nice bullish momentum to the upside. So simple enough, we want to be bullish. We know that our bullish probabilities are going to come in this area over here. Where are we right now? We're at resistance. What happens at resistance? There's supposed to be sellers involving themselves there and not buyers. So obviously, if we want to buy, if we want to be the buyers that we want to be, we can't do that where price action is now. We still need to exercise patience and wait for price action to come down low. If you want to be a seller, price action is where you need it to be for you to be a seller. All you need to do is just wait for a structure that gives you a reason to sell, be it a head and shoulders, be it a double top, be it a whatever. But otherwise, let's look for those bullish PRIs. So simple enough, we've got a nice bullish engulfing over there. I've already got that PRI marked. Anything lower, let me just use my eyes. Nothing lower over there. Anything inside of here, nothing inside of there. Okay, cool. So this looks like it's the only nice momentum shift inside of this whole move to the upside. This is like the only area where we can see for sure a whole bunch of sellers came into the market. Whoever these sellers were, they were able to break a level of structure. They were able to break these resistances to resistance areas over there. So we want to trade whoever these guys are. I want to be in with them. So obviously, if price action does end up coming down into this POI, then I'm 100% looking for that upside continuation. Obviously, you guys saw the daily inverse head and shoulders that we're looking to trade. In terms of a sell, maybe let's just speak about a sell because I might just let's just put the structure back on there. You guys can see we've broken out of the structure. So obviously one thing that will allow us to continue a bearish bias will be for us to either see a reversal structure at our resistance area, or for us to obviously wait for price action to break back below this level of resistance. Hopefully break structure, because that's what we want to see. Obviously, if we want to sell, we want to see sellers in control. Once we've broken structure, then we're obviously looking for that corrective retest of either this level of structure that we've broken above and broken that below, or if we inside of the structure, then obviously we can look for a retest of the structure itself for the downside continuation. So we'll just see how price action develops. But yeah, this is the bias that I wanted to see, and maybe I don't want to go against them now that I see them there, I guess. So I'm more bullish than bearish, but I guess it's okay that we discuss the sell just in case the sell does look nice and we do end up sending a signal or whatever. You guys are not shocked that, oh, he's going against his high time frame analysis, because we're at resistance on a daily anyway. Still can be a bearish, a seller at that level. Nonetheless, let's just go on to New Zealand dollar yen, see what's going on here. Cool. So I have adjusted, I don't know when, or I think it was Friday. Friday, I did adjust the structure. If you guys remember, we did take a short from somewhere inside of here, and obviously on a smaller time frame, there was an ascending structure. You guys can see that this ascending, what happened here made my mind go into overdrive of finding out how do I know when a structure like this structure, this specific structure here, they happen a hell of a lot of times, and not just with ascending structures, even with inverse head and shoulders, even with these, with a lot of patterns. But anyway, we're not there. So otherwise, high time frame analysis, you guys know in New Zealand dollar yen, we're stuck in some sort of a range. Obviously, this is one high inside of a range. It's the level of structure that we've broken above over here, and we've broken back below. Otherwise, we do have a potential third touch at this resistance. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to trade the structure, what we find inside of here, because we're exercising too much patience. We don't like the patience, right? We want to trade. We want to be those active day traders. So otherwise, we've been trying to trade, obviously, whatever structures we see going on there. Right now, we can see that there's an ascending structure, momentum that breaks the ascending structure, and obviously another ascending structure. I'm going to try and trade in the direction of this most recent momentum that we see here, breaking this ascending structure over here. And obviously, I don't like to drop down below 4 hour when we do these types of analysis, like high time frame analysis. But you guys can clearly see it on a 1 hour. We've got a beautiful ascending structure. First touch, second touch, third touch. Obviously, all we're doing at this point in time is just waiting for a reversal structure, be it a double top, head and shoulders, whatever it is. By the time we look at market on Monday, I can promise you that things will have changed. And when things have changed, we'll just redo our analysis. We'll ask ourselves simple questions. Has price broken this support maybe that we're in? Because obviously we're just pulling supports out of the air. But by the time we do analysis on Monday, maybe the structure of the support will still be there, maybe it won't be there. But we can ask ourselves simple questions. Are we maybe forming a newer structure inside of here? Have we broke our support? Whatever. Can I look for downside continuation? And maybe the setup I should be looking for a reduced risk entry. By a reduced risk entry, what we have is we clearly have equal highs. We've broken above our equal highs. We can just wait for momentum and obviously trade the retest of this level of structure that we've just broken above and broken back below. Obviously, we'll trade in the direction of the momentum. We'll ask ourselves these questions to see if we can jump into this trade. But nonetheless, I'm 100% bearish bias on this pair. I'm just going to trade what I see right now. I see an ascending structure. I see momentum. I'm going to trade in the direction of that momentum. Let's just wait for a structure that gives us a reason to pull the trigger. Once we see it, we can trade it. Let's go on to some US30. Cool. So US30, I guess she's gonna continue to be a little bit confusing intraday because we're still inside of sideways moving market. But on US30, let's just start off on a 4 hour and just have a picture of where we are within the overall structure, what's happening on a high time frame. Cool. So we've had this expanding descending structure over here, some momentum to the downside. Where are we after we saw this momentum that managed to break a support, a level of structure over there? Obviously, we know there's someone that was a big seller because whoever was there managed to break support. So anyway, where are we now, or where are we going towards? We're coming towards this resistance area. So naturally, so the closer I get to this resistance, the more I want to be a seller. The farther I am from this resistance, the better I am in buying. The more, I guess, comfortable I am with being a buyer. Nonetheless, let's just go down to the most recent price action and then we'll make our decisions from there, because US30 is just like that now. All US30 requires from us to actively trade it is every day you look for your setup, ask yourself if there's an objective. An objective is just simply a setup. Is there a setup that you trade that can complete in the day? Am I planning to be a buyer? If I'm planning to be a buyer, where can I be a buyer? If I'm planning to be a seller, where can I be a seller? Once you've established your directional bias and where you are looking to take that trade, patience is your best friend from that point onwards. So otherwise, US30, let's just speak about our directional bias. So let's just maybe accommodate for whatever new supports we have inside of there and accommodate for the fact that price action whipsawed, broke and closed below the structure and broke back above in the next 4-hour candlestick. Nonetheless, we've got this ascending structure, right? As long as we're inside of this ascending structure, we've got a support, the support trend line. Closer we are to the support trend line, or whenever we're at support trend lines, or whatever the case is, we can buy because we're at some sort of a support. The closer we get to resistances, the more we want to look to sell. So let's drop down onto the 1 hour and just see what's been going on here. So just the most recent price action, guys, on a 1 hour. You guys can see momentum to the upside, right? We've got all of this momentum managed to break some structure. After that momentum, we've got a corrective structure, some sideways moving, whatever it is. We're breaking resistances, we're breaking support. Conclusion being there is no direction here. We're just moving sideways. And as long as we're moving sideways, we do the safest thing possible that our theory tells us. Whenever we're stuck in a range, buying probabilities from the low of the range, selling probabilities from the high of the range. So naturally, so since I'm in a range, I'm going to look for structures that could give me a potential selling probability, selling opportunity from the high of my range. What do I see? I have some resistance over here. Maybe we can isolate some sort of a structure. I have maybe some support over here. Maybe we can isolate or we can figure out once we've broken whatever buyer's market, because we are breaking resistance now. So obviously we're in some sort of buyer's market. Nonetheless, setup, obviously we've got a smaller POI here on a small time frame. I don't think it's necessary for us to drop down and look at it, but there is a bearish engulfing. Obviously, if you guys go on a smaller time frame, you will see it, you will find it if you look for it somewhere inside of this week. But nonetheless, it is the high of our range. It is a resistance level of structure that we've broken above, broken below, and we can come back for a retest at a future date in time. So the first thing that I'm going to be looking for in US30 is obviously we pay attention to how, and we must be in the right time. We're obviously not going to trade if price action is here during Asian session. That's not where we try and look for the momentum to jump in. But otherwise, you guys can see there's a first touch, second touch. We can find a potential third touch. Where is our third touch? Somewhere towards our resistance. So we'll obviously be paying attention to price action, waiting to see if we do come up and tap here. Then we can look for downside continuation or some sort of downside momentum. Otherwise, I want to speak about, okay, let's get through the buy first before we go through the higher sell. If we don't obviously sell and price action continues to move to the downside, we do have a level of structure. Let's just delete this, because this was for you guys. Obviously this was for, like, if obviously you missed this setup. Jesus, wait, what am I talking about? No. Never mind. Whatever I was just about to say, just forget about it. Just adjusting for most recent level of structure. We've got this support over here, obviously. Level of structure that we've broken below, broken back above, and at a future date in time, we can come back to retest. Why maybe don't I want to buy? Why am I scared now to buy at this support trend line? And maybe I'm more comfortable in buying somewhere around here. The reason why I'm scared to buy at this support trend line is because market gave me a very important piece of information here. The way we had this support trend line, didn't market already break that support trend line and break back above? Already I am seeing price action being corrective around the support trend line. So what am I focusing on? I'm focusing on the fact that market is being corrective. We could be creating some sort of a corrective structure. So now I'm no longer looking for my nice clean one. I'm looking for a correction, something that's nasty, something that's full of chop. Does that mean I'm still going to look to trade off something that I already saw market break below and break back above? No, I can't look to trade at this level of structure anymore. But what I can do is just keep it there for reference, so I understand what my higher time frame structure maybe still looks like, and understand where price action is on a higher time frame. Otherwise, for a potential buy, I think the only place I'm comfortable being a buyer at this point is maybe that low. Yeah, somewhere around here, maybe that low, I'm going to be comfortable in being a buyer. Otherwise, let's look to buy a lot lower, like a hell of a lot lower. Let's talk about a sell now. So we spoke about this sell here. Let's speak about the other higher time frame sell that we could be getting. Obviously, you guys can see we've got some sort of expanding, whatever it is, call it whatever you want to call it, doesn't really matter. What I want to do is I want to accommodate for all the new structure that we've got. So we've got a low over there. Obviously, price action broke this low and created a new lower low. That's why when I'm accommodating for this structure, I'm looking and I'm also adding that over there. Cool. Why didn't I add this the first place? Because in the first place, we had this low, and where's the next low after price action created this low? It was this low. So this was our extreme lows. Going back to basics, just understanding or defining, giving yourself rules as to how do you identify a low or a high or an uptrend or a downtrend. If you still don't have those objective rules, you're still going to be doing things well, subjectively. And if you're doing things subjectively, you're opening the door to just deciding, I'm going to do this today, and then you forget about what you did today. Tomorrow, you're doing something totally different. Anyway, the higher cell that I am going to be looking at is obviously a third touch of the structure. It brings me a lot closer towards this higher time frame resistance that obviously the closer we get there, the less we want to be buyers. Yeah. So I think fair enough. US30, I'm going to try and... We're stuck inside of a range, basically. And no matter how we cut the situation, since we're moving sideways, the safest thing for us to do is trade the high or trade the low. We've got momentum over here, obviously, that broke the structure. So we want to be buyers more than anything else. Where price action is right now is obviously not in a right place, or not where the probabilities are, I guess, the best for us to be a buyer, because we are running into some important resistance areas there, and we don't want to buy into resistance. So otherwise, it's either going to require patience or a big lever for us to obviously jump into sells after we've seen market been trending up for weeks now. Let's be reactive and not predictive. We'll trade US30 both directions. I am going to change, obviously, because now I am predominantly bearish rather than bullish. Last week, we were more bullish than we were bearish. I think this week, I'm a little bit more bearish than I am bullish, because to be bullish, it's gonna require some patience. Like, I would need to wait for price action to come down. So yeah, I think that's me on US30. US30 is moving sideways, and unfortunately, we've just got to treat it like what it is, sideways moving market. So directional biases in both directions, but the structures are going to allow us and give us those trading probabilities that we're looking for. Once we see the structures, there's no way we can deny that at least the nature of what's going on allows us to buy. Even if maybe we were wrong in the direction, and for example, maybe price action was going to break support, if we had a descending structure coming towards this support, what does that do for our probabilities? At least we'll be able to replicate this. And the next time we replicate a descending structure coming towards support, what are the chances of price action buying? Slightly higher than price action always breaking the descending structure to the downside. So we'll just trade our plan and see how things go. Be reactive, trade the structures that we see. We've got directional biases in both directions. Yo, guys, I know I said we've got directional biases in both directions, because I really honestly mean it, that we've got to be looking at the structures and following, because that's how we've been trading US30. We've been involving ourselves in buys and sells. Like I was telling you guys, that now I won't buy the story that US30 is long-term bullish, because we're in a time in the world where, if we just look at the higher time frame, you guys can see these candlesticks are massive. There's a lot of momentum. There's a lot of direction, both directions, a lot of momentum. So there's opportunity. That just means that right now we're in an environment. Environment is not like how it was back 10 years ago when I first learned about trading, and we see that market used to move very slowly until coronavirus hit. But market used to use very slowly, and being a long-term buyer or whatever, those things, now I trade both directions now. And how we trade both directions is we let the probabilities stack up. How we do that is by, first of all, creating a directional bias, saying that, oh, I see this structure. This structure means that I have probabilities in this direction. Once I've added this level of probability using a directional bias, I add my next level of probability, which is what? Finding a point of interest. What am I doing? I'm saying that, yes, I want to sell, but the best places to sell or the best places to buy are this place and maybe this place, or whatever the case is. I've increased my probabilities. So now no longer do I have a good direction. Now I've got a good place to look for an entry for that directional bias. What about the entry itself? We're saying about the entry, we need to wait for that chart pattern, because that chart pattern is going to be that last layer of confirmation. If we've waited for all these things, is this not the environment that our back test and all those things? That's what we want to trade. We don't care what's going on and what's where. If we find an environment that our strategy or our system has proven profitable in the past, let's trade that now. I'm done. Let there be peace in the streets. Let there be peace in the streets, guys. Cheers, cheers, cheers. Thanks so much for being part of the session. Otherwise, if you guys were late and you missed something somewhere, I'm gonna upload this on YouTube. For those that are gonna catch it on YouTube, like and subscribe because you guys don't do that. I need to remind you guys. Cheers, guys. I'll see you guys.